how to set up and create solar PV and battery jobs through Grid Select. As you can see, I have the login page open. The link to this page along with your username and password would have been emailed to you when you first signed up with RecTraders. All right, I'm now going to log into my account, so I'm just going to use a RecTraders default account. When logging in, just make sure that the retailer button at the top has been clicked, and once you've typed in your correct details, then you can log in. Once you've logged in, you need to find jobs on the left-hand sidebar and click on Create. Here's where you put your customer details. I'm going to enter myself as a customer. I'm going to be getting a solar PV and battery installed. So here's where you can choose government body, corporate body, trustee or individual. Going to enter my name in. And when putting in the mobile number, just make sure you have the 61 at the front just in order to receive text messages. Here you'll see that the installer presence, the start, middle and end boxes have all been enabled. That is in order to prove the installer was present on site during the course of the installation. Once that's all filled in, then click Create. On this page, you can see there are 5 parts when doing install. We have the customer details, system details, install details, documents and photos, and the retailer declaration. I'm now going to talk you through each part. The first section we need to fill out is the customer details page. We already filled in the details of the customer on the previous page, so this will all be pre-done already. You just need to click whether the customer is registered for GST or not. If yes, click yes and put in the ABN. If not, then just click no. You then need to add in the owner's address. You can find the address in the search bar at the top or enter the details underneath manually, up to you. I'm just going to enter an address here. And it will all come up there. Then we scroll down. Then you need to add in the details for the address of where the installation is happening. The same as owner detail box will already be ticked. So you only need to fill in this part if the customer address is different from the installation address. Scrolling down, the next part here is the customer signature section. You can either choose to provide the customer signature via the installer's mobile phone app, which is probably the easiest thing to do, or you can enter it remotely via email. Scrolling down this part here, if you're eligible for an extra rebate through Solar Victoria, you would enter that in this section. That rebate's not done through us, it's done through Solar Victoria. And then finally, the last part down the bottom here, if you want to link this job to a certain CRM software. It's not very common, but if you were to do that, that's where you would enter it there. Once you've completed all those details, then click on Save and Next Page. The next page here is where we enter the system details of everything you install. So that's focusing on the specific of the panels, inverter, and battery. So first we're looking at the panel details. I'm just going to be entering in some popular ones that we see quite often here. So I'm going to be using Jinko. Then you will see the panel model. Find the one that's yours. Now you'll see a lot of these have expiry dates on them, so it's really important to select the correct one. I'm going to use a 510. So it shows my wattage and the number of panels, and I'm going to be using 24 panels. Scrolling down, now this next section here asks, would you like to assign panels to this job now? Make sure you click no for this. This way we can verify the panels before they're uploaded. Now that it's all been entered, we can see the system size and the number of STCs that have been created. Scrolling down for the inverter details, so I'm going to add an inverter. And then once again, I'm just going to choose one that we see quite a bit. Now you'll see here there are 2 options. This is common with a lot of solar brands because they need to update and release next gen ones to keep up with regulations. I'm just going to select the bottom one here, and I'm going to select my inverter model. Again, I'm just going with a popular one we see. This then tells me the inverter power and the number of inverters I need, and I'm going to be using 1. So if you're all happy with that, then you add that in. Scrolling down, now this part is to do with the connection type of the electricity grid. If it is with a battery, then you would select the top one. If it is connected without a battery, then you'd select the middle one. And if it's an off-grid system, then you'd select the bottom one. I'm going to select the top one, and then I'm going to add in a battery. Similar with the inverter, I'm going to use the same brand and the battery model. This tells me the battery series, the number of batteries, so I'm going to be using 1, and the number of modules, which I know for this one is 9, and I'm going to add that battery. This part here says the following certificates are eligible for this job, so I need to enable that. I also need to scroll back up, and I just need to fill in this box here with the location where the battery will be or is installed. For my one here, it's going to be outdoor. Scroll down here to have a look at these yes, no tick boxes. These will be pre-filled, but read through them. And then finally, if you want to put in any warranty details, you can do so in this section, but I'm not going to do that. So I'm just going to save and head to the next page. For the third page here, we're looking at the install details. So the install details page looks at the details of the property, the installation itself, and including the installer presence. So to start, it's really important to fill in the NMI number. And also it's really important to put in whether it's a single or multi-story and the property type. So commercial, residential, or school. So I'm going to choose single story residential. Scrolling down, now we need the install details. So you need to put in the date. I'm just going to put in today's date for the morning. The deeming period. Now the deeming period is 6 years for 2025, but this will drop down to 5 years in 2026 and so on. The system mounting type, I'm choosing a building or structure. This will be the case for most installations. Now you need to select your installers. So you can either select an installer company or select them individually. I'm going to do the latter. So you need to click down on the drop-down box and find the correct installer, electrician, and designer. It might all be the same person. If you can't find them, it probably means you need to go and set them up as an installer, which you can see in another video if you haven't done that. Here's an option where you can put in special instructions to the installer. And underneath this is the installer presence. So the installer is required to take selfies at the beginning, middle, and end of the job. They do that through their app, and then it will show here. Okay, this part here is quite important. So we need to know whether it is a new system, an extension, an additional, or a replacement system. So for this job, I'm going to click New System. If it's an extension, you would use this text box here just to put in information like the location of the new panels. So, for example, it sits on the northwestern part of the house or it sits on the shed. If you are replacing an old system, we need to know why. So it might be replacing a damaged system or just replacing a smaller one. Just some basic information to give us an idea. Same for the battery installation. So I'm just going to click New there. The tick boxes here should all be pre-filled and should look like this. That won't change. So once you're happy with that, then you can save and go to the next page. So this page here is where you upload all your forms and photos. The most important ones are the first one here, the customer invoice for purchase of system, and the third one here, which is the compliance certificate from the installer. You then have the options to add all these other documents, such as electricity bills, warranties, battery layouts, payment evidence. The more of these you do, the better. Scrolling down. Now, when you get to here, when you've selected installer, the installer will then be able to take and upload photos of all these. Now, because I haven't selected install, these are not enabled for me. But once you've done that, then you'll be able to upload things like photos of labels, serial numbers, switchboards, the system once it's installed, before and after photos, the selfies, and even the signatures that are collected will all come up on this page. You'll notice which ones are mandatory, but obviously the same as before, the more the better. This map down the bottom here helps us see where the photos have been taken. So once you've uploaded as much as you can there, then you can save and go on to the next page. This final page is a retail declaration and written statement. This pretty much just says the customer accepted the quote and that everything was installed properly and followed the guidelines. Okay, now that is all done, I'm going to scroll down and click partial save, and exit. Now I'm back to my main page, and when I scroll down here, there's the job that I just created. This part down the bottom here is a really good way to keep track if you've got multiple jobs on the go. It's also a quick way to see the payment amount and to also see how the job is progressing, how the status of it is. This actions part in the far right side of the box is very useful, especially when you're getting to submit your claim. If you see a blue what's left button, you can click on that and that can show you the parts that you're missing. These icons down the bottom here, as you progress through your job, your installation, they will turn green to show that they've been completed. As you can see, mine are all red here because nothing's been done. When all these are green down the bottom, then you are ready to submit your claim.